I am here. This is going to be a long intro.
Oh boy.
With one of what I consider the Mount Rushmore of DCI brass arrangers, 1 of 4. You're my number 1 draft pick.
Okay.
All right, number 1.
I'm excited about that.
And the last time we spoke on camera, it wasn't official. It was the name I gave you, the title many had been given you, but it has been bestowed upon you officially. DCI Hall of Famer, Dr. Scott Boerma of the Madison Scouts, my hero. And I don't say that lightly. I have ripped you off since the beginning of my career. You and Mr. Moore, Dr. Moore from the 90s, and Taras. I have ripped the 3 of you off from your brilliant work.
I'm honored.
30 years ago in the 90s. And
Can you believe it? That was that long
and you're
ago?
still killing it today because return to the Madison Scouts. Last year, return to finals since Last Man Standing, and another fantastic, enjoyable show. I keep talking so much. Thank you, Dr. Boerma, for joining us.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Here.
Yeah.
Are you having a great summer with the Scouts?
Absolutely. You know, this is my 30th summer with the Corps on and off since
Is that
1984.
considered marching?
Marching for 2 years back in the 80s, and then on the staff starting in 86, and it all 25th show I've written for them. So it's just mind-boggling.
Did Chris give you a silver watch or anything like that?
You would think so, but I haven't seen it yet.
That Chris Comnick.
I know it.
And you marched with Chris Comnick.
I did. Yeah, right next to each other. At least 1 or 2 sets.
That is 1 or 2. Yeah. But that out of what, 15, 16 sets?
I think there were a few more than that.
In the 80s, And now everyone who's watching this should know who you are. But a brief recap, you marched, then you joined as an arranger, a teacher, a staff member with the famed 1988 World Championship. You've created not only some of Madison Scouts' greatest shows, but Drum Corps' greatest shows, specifically 1995, A Drum Corps Fan's Dream, and Part Dos, and The Pirate Show, and Jesus Christ Superstar, and then Red, Green, and Gold when you triumphantly returned to finals.
Crazy.
Like you were, the reason I say that you're a top 4, this wasn't meant to be like I'm going to gush on you, but I'm going to.
Keep it coming.
Yeah, I'll make it less too narcissistic here.
All right.
Jay Bocook, the Cadets, Wayne Downey, the Blue Devils, Scott Boerma, the Madison Scouts. 3 names who created a sound that is synonymous with the drum corps therewith. I know you're a humble man, but like you're a big deal. I publicly
you're very kind,
and I'm sure the comments would agree with it. Can you talk a little bit? Let's talk about the show.
Sure.
The nature of being.
Yeah.
How's it coming? How did it all come together? It does have that quintessential. They don't use the word gypsy scale anymore, but it's that.
It's a little Phrygian mode
flat
in
2
there.
raised third.
Right, exactly,
some people will say Latiny, but the toxic. All that stuff. How did this all come together that you put together for this fun show?
I think we all sorry, they're really loud.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for them.
We all in the fall just start throwing ideas onto a Spotify list, and we just kind of see what sounds resonate with us, and we kind of sound with the oral concept of what we think that we want to sound like, and then we start, as we start picking the tunes that we really like, and we start thinking about, what kind of things might go together in a concept of a show, and start leaning a certain way, and that's the nature of being kind of came up as kind of this primal, what makes us all human, what connects us all as humans, and you see throughout a show kind of the DNA strands and things like that. You'll hear some primitive instruments, and you'll hear some primitive scales and things like that. And so kind of from there choosing music that kind of fits that concept, and just coming up with what we think is going to be very entertaining and educational for the members, and just really exciting.
Now, is Toxic your favorite Britney Spears song?
I tell you what, it absolutely is. And I was a big proponent of playing that tune. I was like, that could be really cool.
And you've had such a long career of picking new music, contemporary music with the Madison Scouts, but also Spirit, when you spent a few years arranging for them. I think when we had talked a while back, you had mentioned, the City of Angels, the Broadway musical was hot. It was new when the Madison Scouts did it in 91, 92, 91?
91 and 92. Yep.
So playing new, fresh, the Hozier.
Ice Castles.
Ice Castles.
Takes us way back.
Yeah, did you march Ice Castles?
I did not.
Oh.
No, I was later than that by a couple of years.
But it was already a Madison Scouts
favorite.
Absolutely,
it still is.
Yes. So what is your iPod? I say iPod. What's your iPhone like? with all of the music, because you, for those who don't know, you also are a director of bands. You wave the stick. You compose original works for the stage and not just for marching fields. So what are you listening to these days?
Boy, you know, that's a tough question because I really enjoy a wide range of music, and it's usually somebody says, "Hey, have you heard this?" And I don't even know who that is, and they'll send me a link on Spotify and take a listen to. I really don't have a go-to list. I tell you, because my life is so musically involved, and my role as director of bands at Western Michigan University is so much about that. When I get home at the end of the day, I usually put on some just mindless pop music in the background, you know, and so I'm a fan of everything. I think there's really beauty and depth to everything if you look hard enough.
That's for sure. That's for now. You're a jazzer, right? Was it Scotty B and the Boys back in the day?
Maybe. I sure like jazz.
What type of jazz are you listening to these days?
You know, I go in phases. I've been listening. I went to a concert the other night by the New York Voices here at Western Michigan University, and I was listening to these vocal jazz sounds that were these thick, rich harmonies with this incredible jazz combo. So that inspired me to go out and listen to some more of their sounds, and you know, just the richness of those intense, close harmonies. I really am intrigued by. So that's what it's been lately.
Yeah, and then of course we hear that sometimes with the Madison Scouts.
Yeah,
definitely over the last 30 years or so, as you say. All right, as we wrap this up, you marched in the 80s, and you've taught and designed for the Madison Scouts when they were all male.
Yep.
And then you've come back to the Scouts post-COVID. They are gender neutral now,
right.
And they seem to be just as exciting.
Oh.
I mean, they're not as loud because they're not on bugles. And maybe that's the trick for next year.
They may be a little bit more in tune, though, I must say.
You know, it's got to be better to write G flat. Like some of those scores, you know, when you're like, why is Scott writing in D flat? But you know, the bugles and all that stuff. But
right, yeah.
You know, you've had such an amazing experience throughout as a Madison Scout marching member to now one of the design team. You know, what is that like for all those people out there that, you know, only get the taste of, I marched, or I was a staff, and you've, other than, I mean, God, if Chris Comedy decides to step down, you could be the core director.
No,
You've done
thank you.
it all.
No. I don't want to be an administrator.
Oh, all right. But, you know, what? It's got to be important. You've been there forever.
30 years, off and on for 30 years. That's half my life. You know, I don't want you to count, see how old I am. I know I look like I'm 30,
do.
but
oh
yeah,
my
right.
gosh.
No. Half my life I've been a part of the Madison Scouts, and it's just, you know, the traditions. It's a legacy corps. I mean, it's the oldest corps on the field, and
it's true.
And we have a lot of shoulders to stand on, and so I feel this immense responsibility to live up to that every single year. I never go into that blank page of manuscript paper and think, I'll just write something. It's always like, oh my goodness, I owe so much to this amazing institution that is the Madison Scouts. So it's just a part of my heart, and you know, we play You'll Never Walk Alone, I still weep. You know, I never know when it's going to catch me, and then all of a sudden it's right there because it's my life.
It's got to be amazing to hear. Well, I mean, I know, to hear your arrangement of something that is so. It's that's what they play.
Unbelievable to have that happen after sitting in my basement and throwing these sounds onto a page and hear those dorky computer sounds playing them back, and then hear these amazing human beings bring it to life. There's nothing like it.
Well, to close the gushing interview that we've done, nothing brought me greater joy and excitement was to have you send me your scores for the COVID year in 2021, and I got to collaborate with my musical hero, a giant of music everywhere. That we'll put that on my tombstone. One of my greatest experiences. And so thank you, and they have always been and will continue to be my favorite drum corps in the world, the Madison Scouts. Everyone go audition. Everyone go look it up. You can play the fattest notes in all of DCI by Dr. Scar Boerma.
Right?
Of course, yes. Okay. No.
Yeah,
PH.
Yeah, give me a call. Let's do it.
And what are the Western Michigan, what's the mascot?
The Broncos.
The Broncos. Apparently we're rivals. I mean, I went to Central.
So. Yeah,
I don't know. But if you don't go to Central Michigan, you can consider Western Michigan.
Go Broncos.
And you can study under the baton of one Dr. Scott Boerma.
Yeah, well, that'd be nice.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time today.
It's great to see you, my friend.
You too. Thank you.